Good morning, Cedar Park. Today is Thursday, February 16th, 2023, and it's a B-Day.
Let's dive into how cyberbullying has or hasn't changed since the passing of David's Law 5 years ago, and how the law's namesake, David Molak's legacy, continues to inspire change.
Give the details behind a local Black author coming to CPHS, plus Kylie Young has the headlines in this morning's brief.
And a TiVo Spotlight with one of our wrestlers before they're off to state. Turn it up because the Wolfcast starts now. Good morning, Cedar Park, and welcome back. I'm Abby Martinez, and I'm here this morning with Jack Polshik and Katie Whitmarsh. Jail time for cyberbullying. It's been 5 years since a Texas state law went into effect, turning cyberbullying into a crime.
David's Law was passed by Texas legislature in 2017 and went into effect in 2018. But how has it made an impact?
This law was named after 16-year-old David Molak, who took his own life as a sophomore after being the repetitive target of relentless cyberbullying attacks.
After David's death, his family, along with support from the community, pushed lawmakers to address the void in Texas laws regarding cyberbullying and enforcement.
CPHS news reporter and co-anchor Reagan Hill has more as we look into 5 years of David's Law.
Thanks, Jack. Months before David died, his San Antonio high school tried to intervene, but attempts to respond to cyberbullying he was facing proved insufficient. His death led to change in our state law, but has it led to change in action?
Texting, tweeting, Snapchatting, most students do all of these things every day. But how much do students really think about what they're saying online?
It was back in 2017 when CPHS News first brought to you the story of David's Law, and it's still our most viewed video to date. But that doesn't mean cyberbullying has stopped. According to a 2019 report from the National Center for Education, 1 out of every 5 students reported being bullied. While there are benefits to social media like keeping in touch with friends, entertainment, and self-expression, the cons of social media may be outweighing the pros. Findings from the Mayo Clinic revealed detrimental and damaging thoughts relating to teenager mental health, disrupting sleep, the spread of misinformation, unrealistic views of other people's lives, peer pressure, and cyberbullying.
I think a lot of the times it's easier to post something online that you wouldn't necessarily say in person. If you wouldn't go up to someone and tell them that they're ugly, but it's so much easier to type it out online.
I think it contributes to cyberbullying because it makes it a lot easier to just say whatever you want without actually being face to face with somebody and seeing their reaction to what you say.
Cedar Park High School principal John Sloan says with the expansion of technology and social media, teens find it easier to cyberbully others online.
If there are things that happen in a negative way and people interact on social media, people often say things they would never say to someone in person, and people can be really ugly and mean.
Since David Law was passed, reported cyberbullying cases in Texas schools has dropped significantly by more than 20%. This is according to the 2019 CDC National Youth Risk Behavior Survey, which found that out of students surveyed, 20% fewer said that they had been bullied online compared to before David's Law was passed. The survey also states 23% fewer suicide attempts and 31% less bullying reported in Texas schools. CPHS News spoke with Senior Director of LASD Student Support Services, Brian Miller. He says that the district uses a checklist made by the Texas School Safety Center to interpret David's Law and determine if an incident rises to the level of bullying.
We have had an investigation process where we have an intake form, we take student statements, we interview witnesses, and then make a determination on what our response is based on that.
Districts are now required to include cyberbullying in their district bullying policies and notify a child's parents if he or she is a victim or alleged aggressor of bullying. It allows for schools to collaborate with law enforcement when serious or life-threatening cyberbullying situations arise. CPHS News recently obtained data for the number of confirmed cases of bullying by high school and LASD by year dating back to 2014. While bullying incidents seemed to be going down in the district, it was clear which cases were online, but regardless, the district says they will continue to fight cyberbullying.
I would just encourage anybody who's experiencing those kind of things to speak up and tell somebody, because the minute it happens, we can get involved and we can stop it and we can make sure that we intervene and help out.
David's Legacy Foundation continues to advocate for new policies that protect children from bullying and cyberbullying and promotes mental health resources and suicide prevention programs in Texas. With CPHS News, I'm Reagan Hill.
Thanks, Reagan.
So, Reagan, this is obviously very difficult subject matter. What was the hardest part about making this package?
Yeah, so definitely getting interviews, I would say. A lot of people did not want to interview with me because it's such a sensitive subject. So getting all the statistics and not getting anything wrong to make sure it's right, because it is a very hard-hitting story. I just wanted to get everything right, considering we did a story on this 5 years ago, back in 2017. So just wanted to make sure everything was right and up to date.
Get all the facts, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you talked about the data for LASD and the number of bullying cases. What does that say about Cedar Park High School?
So Cedar Park is actually like moderately low. There was around a spike in 2017, but that was all because of David's Law, and they started tracking more bullying cases. But as of up to date right now, Cedar Park is like very, very low in the cases compared to other schools, and there's probably around less than 5 cases right now, reported from 2022, I believe.
Gotcha. Okay,
Well, yes.
thank you.
If any of you are thinking about suicide, are worried about a friend or loved one, or would like emotional support, 988 is the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number.
And you can always reach out to your counselor here at CPHS.
Coming up, Kylie Young has this morning's top headlines, but first, this break. A local published author is coming to speak at CPHS. A special den is coming up on February 22nd in our library with Kellis Rowe to lead students in creating their own blackout poetry. Rowe recently published her young adult novel, Finding Jupiter, a story where 2 teens who fall in love after meeting in a Memphis roller rink, but these star-crossed souls have a past filled with secrets that threaten to tear them apart before their love story even begins. Students interested in meeting with Rowe can sign up for the special den in the Den portal. You can also find a link to buy her book on our Instagram and Twitter at CPHS News.
Thanks, Jack. First up, officials are investigating after 1 person is dead and 3 others are injured at an El Paso mall, right next to where in 2019 there was a Walmart shooting. The shooting happened inside Sela Vista Mall last night, and the police say 1 person in custody. The mall right next to where the Walmart, 23 people died, dozens were injured in a shooting in 2019. Next, a protest continues against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, who recently rejected the proposal of public schools and AP African American study courses. Gathered by hundreds gathered in a march led by Reverend Al Sharpton to protest the governor's stance and saying students should have an opportunity to learn America's, quote, whole story. DeSantis is on the other hand saying the course lacks educational value. Next, the World Bank President David Malpass, who was appointed post by then-President Donald Trump in 2019, is stepping down months after a controversial interview. While Malpass hasn't confirmed the reason for his early resignation yet, it does come after an interview asked about the belief in science of climate change, and he responded, quote, "I don't even know, I'm not a scientist." In the end, the quote, his resignation leaves opportunity for Biden to appoint a new candidate for the position. And finally, some North Austin high schoolers were facing criminal charges after a so-called mansion rager over the weekend. According to a report from Fox 7, a family home was broken into Saturday night, and an unknown to them had become site of a mansion party, which invites circulating around social media. The owner was alerted by neighbors when he came home to find cars lined up around the street and teenagers fleeing his house, leaving behind a trail of White Claw cans and damage. The owner says the items left behind the confirmed some partygoers from Westlake, Vandergrift, Lake Travis, and Bowie High School, and the investigation is ongoing. So what do we think?
And Vandergrift too. That was the big one.
I think it's interesting because obviously most people that attended probably didn't know. We'll give them the benefit of the doubt. Because like, why would you assume that somewhere you're going is like not someone's house?
Yeah.
But still doesn't make it okay.
No, I do feel bad for
defending.
people that are facing charges. I mean, it's still underage drinking. You're still not allowed supposed to be doing these things.
Yeah.
But they didn't know. I mean, like, having minor in possession is definitely different from, like, trespassing on a multi-million-dollar property.
But also, like, there's got to be cameras, like, in any of these houses.
Yeah, the thing that gets me is, like, imagine being the owner and coming home to your own house and there's just, like, teenagers drinking in your front lawn.
Hundreds of them.
And I read the article and it said that, like, they only have a 2-year-old toddler who's, like, not an LISD. Like, there's no reason that they would have any connection to any high schoolers. Like, it's so
strange.
just, like, random.
So do
like,
we know?
How does that even happen?
Do we know, like, kind of what the charges look like and, like, who specifically was, like?
I mean,
Not really.
It's an
yeah, stay tuned.
ongoing.
To be continued. Thanks, Kylie. Coming up, Carmen McDonald on today's team will spotlight on wrestling before they head off to state. But first, this quick break.
Come on, Pacific High School. I'm Kevin McDonald, and I'm here with Erica Peterson, the senior year. How long have you been wrestling?
I've been wrestling for about 5 or 6 years. I got to start wrestling here my freshman year, but I got to start training with the team a little bit before that when my dad moved to coaching here.
Tell us about your experience at the state meet.
The state meet's super intimidating, but I try to think of it just as any other tournament. It's in this huge arena, 8 wrestling mats on the floor, a ton of wrestlers, and it's just really incredible to get to be able to wrestle there.
What do you to prepare for a state tournament?
We do a lot of training, but of course this time of year is also about resting our bodies, getting up to 100%. It's a really tough time of year. Everyone's getting down to weight, everyone's trying to get on the state podium, so it's really about spending time with your team and spending time with your family and just, you know, getting yourself in the right mental space.
Okay, good. What's your favorite thing about this year's team?
This year's team is just super cool. I mean, we have such a good time at tournaments. Everyone's just super cool together, and yeah.
Okay, well, good luck. That's all the questions that I have for you today. It's the best news. I'm coming down back to you guys.
Thanks, Carver. That's all we have for you today. Thank you for taking time to join us during your den. You can catch anything you missed and more on our Twitter or YouTube at CPHS News.
On tomorrow's show, catch your weekend destinations for this 3-day weekends.
And don't forget to follow our dedicated sports Twitter at CPHS_sports for updates during the games. With CPHS News, I'm Katie Whitmarsh.
I'm Jack Polishuk.
And I'm Abby Martinez. Remember to make it a great day or not, the choice is yours.